Hello friends. Welcome to Enjoy English Through Stories. In this video, we'll explore the life and work of Donald Trump. You can read and listen to the story at the same time to help you improve your English. Ready to take your English to the next level? Just relax and enjoy the story at your own pace. Okay, without further delay, let's get into the story. Donald Trump, the road to the presidency. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in the Queens neighborhood of New York City, to Fred Trump and Mary McLeod Trump. Fred Trump, a prominent real estate businessman, had created a company dedicated to building affordable housing for middle-class families, especially in New York's boroughs. From a young age, Donald was exposed to the business world and his father's disciplined and meticulous approach to work. Childhood and adolescence. Trump grew up in a privileged environment, surrounded by wealth and with the constant example of his father, who instilled in him the importance of money and hard work. However, the relationship with his father was not always easy. Fred Trump was known for his strong personality and rigorous approach, which sometimes made Donald feel the constant pressure to live up to his family's expectations. Throughout his childhood, Donald showed a competitive nature. At the age of 13, he was sent to the New York Military Academy, NYMA, a private preparatory school where he developed a more disciplined approach to life and studies. At the academy, he excelled in sports, particularly in football and baseball, which gave him a sense of independence and recognition outside of his family's shadow. During his teenage years, Trump developed an audacious personality and a sense of self-confidence that would later translate into his future business and political aspirations. Even though his adolescence was comfortable, he was never completely free from the pressure of maintaining his family's success. Education. After graduating from the New York Military Academy, Donald Trump attended Fordham University in New York, but he didn't stay there long. In 1968, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, specifically to the Wharton School of Finance, where he earned a degree in economics in 1968. The Wharton School, known as one of the top business schools in the world, would lay the foundations for his business thinking. His time at university marked him as an ambitious student, focused on learning what was necessary to manage his family's business. While he didn't necessarily stand out as an academic superstar, the education he received at Wharton gave him the confidence he would later use to make a name for himself in the business world. Trump always boasted about his time at Wharton, often highlighting the school's reputation as a means of reinforcing his image as a prepared and visionary businessman. However, many questioned the truthfulness of some of his claims about his academic achievements, a pattern that would persist throughout his career. Early business ventures. After graduating from university, Donald Trump joined his father's company, the Trump Organization. Instead of sticking to the affordable housing business his father had built, Trump had the ambition to enter the world of skyscrapers and luxury real estate. In the mid-1970s, he took control of the company and shifted its focus toward high-profile commercial properties in Manhattan. His first major investment was the Commodore Hotel in the heart of New York City. Through a complex financial transaction that included securing a loan from the city of New York, Trump managed to turn the hotel into the luxurious Grand Hyatt. This marked a significant step in his career, helping him gain visibility in the competitive real estate world. The sale of the Commodore was only the beginning of what would become a long list of acquisitions and high-profile projects, including Trump Tower, which would become one of his empire's emblems. Trump always presented himself as an aggressive and bold businessman who knew how to move the pieces to get what he wanted, often using publicity to his advantage. He understood that, In order to succeed, it was essential that his name was on everyone's lips, so he used the media to create a public image that portrayed him as a successful, audacious, and visionary entrepreneur. Personal life. Donald Trump's personal life has been as public and scrutinized as his business career. In 1977, Trump married Ivana Zelníková, a former Czechoslovakian model. Their marriage was one of the most talked about stories in New York society during the 1980s. Together, they had 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, who would later play important roles in the Trump Organization. Throughout their marriage, Trump and Ivana lived a life of luxury, surrounded by media attention. However, by the late 80s, the relationship began to deteriorate. Rumors of infidelities and internal disputes were at the center of public attention. In 1992, Trump and Ivana announced their divorce, causing a media frenzy. During this time, Trump began dating Marla Maples, who, after a brief romance, became his second wife in 1993. With Marla, Trump had a daughter, Tiffany, though this marriage also faced challenges. In 1999, Donald and Marla announced their separation, a divorce that again made headlines. In 2005, Trump married Melania Naus, a former model from Slovenia. Together they had a son, Baron, born in 2006. Melania, who would later become the First Lady of the United States, played a key role in Trump's later years, offering a stark contrast to his previous marriages. Throughout his personal life, Trump has been a controversial figure, with many of his marriages and relationships being constant fodder for media attention. Nonetheless, he has always maintained the image of a successful businessman and, at times, used his personal life as part of his personal brand. The political career. Donald Trump's political career is perhaps the most controversial and consequential aspect of his life. Although Trump had expressed political opinions in the past and had donated to various Republican campaigns over the years, his foray into politics was not anticipated. In fact, Trump was better known for his personal brand and TV appearances, especially as the host of the popular show, The Apprentice, where his catchphrase, "You're fired," made him a household name. Trump's transition from businessman to politician began in 2015 when he announced his candidacy for the presidency of the United States as a Republican candidate. His inaugural speech was striking, referring to the building of a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, the revocation of unfavorable trade agreements, and the strengthening of America's military power. From the start, his proposals were seen as radical by some and as the voice of a disillusioned people by others. His campaign was groundbreaking in its use of social media, especially Twitter, where Trump became a phenomenon of direct communication with his base of followers. His controversial statements on immigration, women's rights, and other political figures propelled him to the top of the national political scene. Despite criticism, his message of "Make America Great Again" resonated deeply with a large segment of the U.S. population who felt left out by the political elites. In 2016, Donald Trump won the Republican nomination and, in a surprising twist for many political analysts, defeated Hillary Clinton, the Democratic candidate, in the November election. Trump became the 45th President of the United States, a result that divided the nation, with celebrations in one sector of society and protests in another. The presidency. During his presidency, Trump implemented a series of policies that reflected his vision for the country. Economically, his administration pushed for corporate tax cuts, deregulation, and a focus on nationalistic economic policies. His America First approach also meant a more isolationist stance, withdrawing from several international agreements, including the Paris Climate Agreement and the nuclear deal with Iran. On the foreign front, Trump was known for his unpredictable style and direct approach. He established a tense relationship with several traditional U.S. allies, while his relationship with authoritarian leaders, such as Vladimir Putin of Russia and Kim Jong-un of North Korea, was a topic of controversy. Although his administration brokered several peace deals in the Middle East, including the normalization of relations between Israel and several Arab nations, his approach was seen by many as risky and contentious. On immigration, one of the key promises of his campaign was the construction of a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, which generated significant polarization across the country. His stance on immigration was one of the most discussed during his presidency, as was his policy of separating families at the southern border, which was widely criticized both inside and outside the U.S. In his final year in office, Trump faced growing internal and external opposition, culminating in his impeachment twice. In 2020, Trump was impeached on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress related to his request for Ukraine to investigate his political rival Joe Biden. Although he was acquitted in the Senate, the impeachment was a significant moment in U.S. political history. Despite losing the 2020 presidential election to Joe Biden, Trump remained a prominent figure in the Republican Party. The legacy. Donald Trump's legacy is one that has sparked passionate debates. To many, he is seen as a leader who challenged the established norms, promoted nationalism, and advocated for policies they believed were necessary to restore America's power and prosperity. To others, he is a divisive figure whose rhetoric and actions pushed the country into an era of unprecedented polarization. His impact on American politics remains strong, and his figure continues to be one of the most influential in the Republican Party. His leadership style, based on populism and rejection of traditional politics, has left an indelible mark on how American politics is understood in the 21st century. Through his life, Donald Trump has transcended the business world to become a political and media icon. With his family, business ventures, and presidency, Trump has left an undeniable mark on U.S. history, a legacy that will continue to be studied and debated in the years to come. Trump's victory in the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump's return to the presidential stage was as unexpected as it was decisive for many of his supporters and detractors. After his defeat in the 2020 election to Joe Biden, Trump maintained a strong base of support, which considered him the true voice of a people who felt unrepresented by traditional administrations. His figure remained influential in the Republican Party, and his populist rhetoric continued to resonate with a large segment of the U.S. population. In the years following his presidency, Trump did not step away from political life. During 2021 and 2022, he remained a central figure in the Republican Party, shaping the course of the 2022 midterm elections. His message of America First, his strict immigration policies, and his firm stance against traditional politics continued to dominate his public discourse. When the 2024 election cycle arrived, Trump decided to run for president once again. The decision was announced in 2023, and from that moment, the campaign began with renewed energy. He faced several rivals within the Republican Party, but his popularity did not wane. The Republican Party, although divided in several factions, largely supported his candidacy, believing Trump was the figure most capable of winning the general election. The 2024 presidential campaign was very different from the 2020 contest. During this campaign, Trump continued to use social media to mobilize his base, but his rhetoric now included a stronger critique of the Biden administration's policies, which he viewed as failures in the areas of the economy, immigration, and national security. His rhetoric also became more confrontational on issues like electoral fraud, which, despite being controversial, remained a key point in his message to his followers. In the Republican primary, Trump quickly established himself as the frontrunner, winning the majority of states with massive support from Republican voters, many of whom gave him an overwhelming victory. However, his rivals didn't give up easily. During the primaries, more moderate candidates tried to chip away at his support, but Trump's populist base held firm. In the general election of 2024, Trump faced off against incumbent Democratic President Joe Biden, who sought re-election. The campaign was marked by a high level of polarization, with a nation divided between those who supported Trump's return to the White House and those who believed his presidency had been disastrous for the country. Throughout the election process, Trump presented himself as the leader who would restore greatness to America, promising to rebuild the economy, strengthen the borders, and return power to the American people. Meanwhile, Biden defended his record, highlighting achievements in the economic and health policy fields. Election Day saw historic voter turnout. After a series of tight races in key battleground states, the results began to lean in Trump's favor on the night of November 5, 2024. States like Florida, Ohio, and Texas, which had traditionally been key for Republicans, tipped the scale in his favor. The final figures showed that Trump had garnered enough support in swing states to secure a victory over Biden. Trump's victory was celebrated by his supporters, who saw him as the last hope to reclaim what they considered lost under the Biden administration. For many of his detractors, the news was devastating, as they feared a return to the divisive and authoritarian policies that characterized his first term. In his victory speech, Trump thanked his supporters and promised to work to unite the nation, though his words were met with skepticism by those who saw him as a polarizing figure. Regardless, with the electoral triumph, Donald Trump became the elected president of the United States once again, and the nation braced for a new chapter in his presidency beginning January 20, 2025. We've just finished the story of Donald Trump's life and work. Well done. Now, for extra practice, watch the video again with no sound and try reading out loud. This technique is called shadowing, and it's a great way to improve your speaking skills. Also, write down any new words and look them up later. Keep learning and keep growing. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. You guys are awesome. Take care and see you in the next story.